Hey guys, Addict Cyclist here with a update on my search for comfortable shoes. So let me give you a little bit of history. So when I first got into road cycling, I was having some knee issues. So I was using just regular Shimano SL pedals and a pair of Shimano 44R170 shoes that were size 44. Again, the older Shimano shoes are known to have a little bit more volume than these new narrower, racier, dual BOA type shoes. But basically, I tried them on, was having severe knee issues. You know, I had a bike fit, just a generic bike fit, and basically was kind of sent on my way. So I figured, you know, at the time I was having some severe knee issues, pain in the front and the side. I was having some patella syndrome, a lot of inflammation of the patella. So I was reading about, you know, Speedplay and how, you know, that can kind of help solve knee issues. Well, I wouldn't say solve, it can accommodate you know, some biomechanical issues or that were maybe not properly addressed during a fit. But, you know, and I went on for 4 years on Speedplays with no issues, no knee pain, no foot pain. Yeah, I get the occasional hot foot. But what I was finding was the Speedplays obviously had a lot of lateral movement. So your foot is kind of floating over the pedal. I did not use a lot of float. But what made the Speedplays work for me was the amount of unrestricted free float, right? So even though I may have, you know, used my Speedplay zeros down to maybe 2 degrees of float, because it was unrestricted or non-spring bearing or loaded, it helped, you know, offset any discrepancies I had in my pedaling stroke and the biomechanics of my hips relative to my knees and to obviously my feet. So it allowed that play that I needed. And because of the lateral movement in those pedals floating on top of the, you know, pedal inside that little pedal cavity they call a cleat, it addressed the issues. But, you know, I always felt that I, you know, was kind of like a narrow, small pedaling platform. I got really got used to, you know, kind of how it worked, but, you know, the maintenance of the pedals. You know, if you walk in, you know, dirt, or if you're on the side of the road, or if you're on a fondo and you're going to a feed zone, you know, all that junk and muck gets all caught into the cavities, into C-spring. And I've always liked how Shimano's felt. My foot always felt very stable on Shimano's. So I decided to sell all my Speedplays, make the commitment, and work it out over the trainer last year, over the winter. Figured let me use the trainer as a good platform to kind of work through some of my issues that I was addressing. So one of them was, you know, in the Speedplays, I also used this 4-foot Varus inside. But again, it does take up a little bit of volume. So I figured I automatically needed, right, the exterior shim. Or wedge, you know, because that's what I had. That's what I was told I needed. But one of the things that no one really talks about is that if you are getting hot foot and you do have a 4-foot, you know, wedge, and I believe I saw this in one of Francis Cade videos that Bike Fit James was doing about cleat wedging, was, you know, the shoe kind of gets brought to your foot, right? Because of the natural, we'll call it soft tissue, you know, Varus. You know, if you put your foot on the ground and your first metatarsal not lifting off the ground, then I, you know, suggest maybe revisiting if you have these wedges, and having some feet tingling and some toe numbing. And I'll tell you why. So one of the ways to address removing these is to widen your pedal stance. So I'm a broader guy, you know, I'm 175, I float between 175, 180. I have an obsession with IPAs and dark chocolate, so a little extra calories there. But I'm naturally a broader guy, right? I'm no Colombian climber here. So basically I do need a wider stance. And, you know, doing that actually helped not need these wedges. Just widening my stance width, or Q factor, whatever you want to call it. And what I found was the pressure that I was getting on my first metatarsal, underneath my first metatarsal, was partly because of the 4-foot wedging, even with the cleat wedging. Because again, you know, the shoe, right, doesn't sit like this really so much. It kind of has a little bit of a pitch to it, right? And Specialized builds this into a lot of their shoes. So naturally, yeah, it does feel very stable. It feels very good. It feels very solid, but you are putting a lot of that pressure when you press down on the pedals through your first metatarsal first, and then obviously your other ones seem to follow, opposed to a flat pedaling position where all of your metatarsals are contacting the sole first and almost evenly. So when I had the wedge in, it was slightly canted, and my first metatarsal, right there on my foot, was pressing first and was causing my big toe to go numb. So it's something to consider. You know, this might not be the issue for you. A lot of times it has to do with, you know, volume in the shoes. Is the shoe wide enough? And if you've seen some of my review videos of me trying to look for shoes to replace my RC 901s, because I was having some issues there. So I kind of been sorting some of this stuff out. And in doing so, I also felt that I could use a little bit more volume in these. And these are 44.5 regular. I have 45 on the mountain because I do wear a thicker sock. But lately I've been wearing a thinner sock because it's still relatively, you know, warm here in New Jersey. And I found that I really enjoyed the volume. You know, my foot's not floating around. I could wiggle my toes a little more. So I said, you know what? These shoes, although I, you know, try to sort out a couple, you know, tingling toe issues and my trials and tribulations of trying to sort through other shoes like Bont and Lake, Bontrager, Specialized. I'm sure I'm missing a few here. And I found out I just love these shoes. They just fit good. They're high volume. You know, they have a lot of midfoot flex in them. And I just love them. So I was lucky enough to score a pair of these you know, interesting, beautiful, but also debatable color in Shimano blue. But I have been enjoying these. I did do a ride yesterday on them, and I did not put any wedging underneath. And I felt that it was solid. I had no toe tingling. I was able to actually move the cleats further back and try that. I removed some of those little red stoppers underneath the cleat. And I found that, you know, these shoes just fit like a glove. So I was grateful to find these. You know, these are 901s. So I scored them on eBay for 250 bucks. So I was super happy about that. Yeah, I would have maybe preferred black, but I actually do really like the way these look. I always questioned if I would look like how they looked on me, but they are pretty flashy, and they do look really well. So yeah, this video is intended for someone that is having some toe tingling, some toe numbness. You know, I've been trying to look for a better shoe, and maybe it has been using a 4-foot wedge, whether it's internally or whether it's externally between the cleat and the bottom of the shoe. But I've been noticing that I was getting a lot of pressure in that first metatarsal, you know, because it was slightly canted. So now, you know, I seem to be pressing down, and it seems like the distribution of weight is more flat across the insole, opposed to that canting. And again, I only use one wedge, you know, but you actually can feel that. You know, you can feel this. This is 1.5 millimeters. You know, you can feel that lift. So again, you can address maybe you needing a 4-foot wedge by just widening your stance width. I was able to do that with a set of Shimano Dura Ace 9000 or 9100 pedals that have a 4 millimeter extended spindle. So again, something to consider. You know, I'm sure there's things in this video that I didn't touch, but I just wanted to go over my experience, and I've given up on all the shoes that I've bought and going to go back with the trusty Shimano 901s. The 902s, you can see them on one of my previous videos. They're just not going to work. They're entirely too narrow. I honestly don't know who they're built for, because the average foot is just not that narrow. Even in the wide, it's not accommodating. So again, these shoes have been great. I've addressed some issues with the ones that I've had for 3 years, and they're in pretty good shape still. Not too banged up, actually. Just a little bit of the heel. So, and these will obviously match my Factor Ostro very well. So I didn't mind getting the blues, since my my Ostro is in the flicker color, so it does have some blue accents. So yeah, if you have any questions, you know, please feel free to leave them in the comments. I would love for you to please subscribe, as I'll be doing more review videos of the bike coming up after it's finished being built. Shoes and other cycling related, you know, gear and experiences. And I really appreciate, you know, the amount of subscribers that I've acquired so far in a short period of time. I hope you're enjoying this content, and appreciate the support. Thank you. Be well.